Today what we're going to do is we're going to look at activity 5.2, which is geometric constraints. You can find this on your assignment on Blackboard. And the first thing you need to do is, of course, open up the drawing. And once you do that, you're going to see this page with instructions here. So if I roll over here, I know I need to do something with a sketch. So there's only one sketch. So I'm going to double click on the sketch and notice how you get your grid lines of the sketch. And so since we're looking at geometric constraints, we're going to live right here in this constraint box today. So the first thing that it says to do is to make these two lines perpendicular. This middle tool right here, if I open it up, this is the perpendicular constraint. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to click both lines, and then that turns it into perpendicular. Next thing, make all three lines parallel to one another. So right next to perpendicular is parallel. Notice how these are the same symbols that you get in math class. So I click on the first two lines and they become parallel. Then I click on line 3 and line 2, and all of those become parallel to each other. Moving along, it says dimension circle number 3 to 2 inches. Fix circles 1 and 2. Then make 3 tangent to 1 and 2. So I'll find circle number 3, and let's back out of the parallel. Find circle number 3, click on that, and I want to dimension it. And so I'm going to type 2.0, and I get that. Now it says to fix circles 1 and 2 and make 3 tangent to 1 and 2. So I'm going to click on the center point of circle 1, and I'm going to use the fix button, which is the little lock button right there. So I'm going to adding this constraint will over constrain the sketch. Okay. So I'm going to click on the lock button, fix that, and then I'm going to fix number 2, also locking those in place. Now I'm going to go to tangent, and tangent puts curves right next to each other. So click on the edge of circle 3, the edge of circle 2. Notice how it moves into place, and then I'm going to do the same thing with 2 and 3. So it's going to look like that. Now it's always a good idea to save your work in the process, so make sure that you're saving as you go through this. Then it says make circle tangent to both lines. So I still have tangents, so I'm going to click on the circle, click on this line. Notice how the circle gets larger. That's okay. Then I'm going to click on the circle again, click on the bottom line, and that is tangent. Okay, also notice how these little symbols pop up right next to the constraints. Alright, next thing, fix point C. So I go back to my fix tool, find point C, and that is fixed. Now it says make endpoints A and B coincident with point C. So I find my coincident constraint, and I get point B. I click on C there, okay, and A, and again I click on that. So now A, B, and C are all together. This one says make circles concentric. So I'm going to find the concentric constraint, and I want to click on the smaller circle first, and then the medium-sized circle. Notice how they all come together, and then the large circle and the small circle. So now they're all concentric like a bullseye. Notice how you get the symbols again. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make these other two lines collinear. So I'll grab the collinear constraint, and click on both of those lines. Notice how they come together. Next, make these two lines horizontal. So I'll grab my horizontal constraint, click on the top line and the bottom line, and they line up to be horizontal. Then make the lines vertical. So I'll click on the vertical constraint on each of these, and the lines turn into vertical. Okay? Make an equilateral triangle. Well, equilateral means all sides are equal, so I'm going to find my equal sign, and I'm going to click on the first line, and the second line, and then the third line with the second line, and all three of those are equal. Notice how you get a different symbol each time for those. Okay, then it says here, make the circles the same size. All right, well, we're not going to use a specific constraint for this. We're just going to use dimension. And so what I'll do is I'll click on the edge of that, and we'll call it 1 inch. Hit enter, and I'll click on this one and hit enter on those as well. Okay, last thing, line up the centers of the circles on the same horizontal plane. Alright, so what we'll do is we're going to use the horizontal constraint, click on the center points of each of the circles, and then they're all lined up together. Once you're all finished with that, click on Finish Sketch, and then you are all done. Make sure that you save your work as something that you can remember in your user drive.